Welcome to the Beyond Divorce Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're having a roundtable discussion. So Armando and Jinohn are joining me in a roundtable discussion regarding if kids could talk and what divorce feels like from the inside, which I think is really cool. So this is really going to be a conversation about, this is what children would really say if they could about what it's like for a kid to experience divorce from their parents or their parents divorcing. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I think it's about kind of helping those kids understand what their feelings are, right? Because some kids can talk, but it's using their verbs, using their words, all that language appropriate to explain, like, this is what I'm feeling inside.
Yeah, I used to say to parents that kids talk in code. And as a parent, your job is to decode like what they're trying to say. They don't have all the words to use like we do to tell you what they're feeling or what they're thinking. Some adults don't even have that.
I was about to say, I was like, I don't know. That's being generous that we have the words to talk about our feelings.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, for the littles, since I work with a lot of littles, you're not going to get the words, you're going to get the behaviors.
Talk more about that, Jinohn. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. So, and I mean, even just like 10-year-olds, you're going to get the behaviors because they're going to feel it and then they're just going to react. And they're not going to be like, I feel sad because my mom and dad are divorcing, They might be able to say that. But the thing is that you really want to look at behaviors. Are they acting out? Are they, slapping kids now? I don't know. And
they're just crying randomly.
Or just randomly crying. And we don't know. I mean, it's like, and parents going to try to attribute it to, the other parent is doing this or the other parent is doing that. Right. But a lot of times it's just things are happening and it doesn't feel good. So then I need to get it out, and I'm going to get it out through my actions and my behaviors. And it's not going to be great for you or us.
Do you remember, Armando, when you worked in the schools, kids would complain of like a stomach ache or something?
All the time. That was when Jinohn was talking about that. That strips my head is like stomach issues, gastro issues, kind of issues like that. And it's like, well, what is it, right? It's because, you didn't eat right at the other parent's house. It's like, no, right. Just stressed and nervous that they're transitioning or they're moving or whatever.
That's right. And so it manifests itself in other ways. And then kids acting out on those feelings because they don't know what to do with them, with big feelings. I mean, I used to tell parents too that if you see a kid that looks like ADHD, that could just be anxiety. It manifests itself in looking like ADHD behaviors because the kid has nowhere to go with the energy. So they just constantly distracted because they're anxious, Gosh, we're already jumping in. Let me back up. Sorry, listeners, we're going to back it up a little bit. Where should we start this conversation where kids are talking and what divorce really feels like? Where should we start? If we haven't already started.
No, I didn't start it, but I think if we really talk about kind of like break it down from the parents, right? So mom's anxiety, because we talked about, you and Jinohn talked about mom's anxiety. You talked about like how dads feel like they're really fit.
Right.
So I think if we go back to start with mom, right? And just kind of see like mom's anxiety, what, if at all, right? That intuition versus anxiety, what that looks like for the kids, I guess, because those kids don't know mom's intuition. They don't know what's going on, right? And so they don't understand that. So all they're seeing is mom being anxious, hovering over them. And I work with a lot of teenagers, and there's nothing worse than a teenager being like, Mom, get off my butt. Like, leave me alone. Right? Why are you asking me what I'm doing at dad's house? Why are you asking me where I'm going with my friend's house? It's not even your time. Leave me alone. But why is mom doing that?
Yeah. Is it anxious? Is it anxiety? Is it, I know how you're dad is, and I'm seeing how he's treating you or how he used to treat me and you and all that stuff. Like, this is, look. But from the little's perspective, when they see mom's anxiety, since we're talking about moms right now, we'll get on dads later.
Yeah, let's get to moms. Go ahead. Start with moms.
But, they probably feel, I think that they probably feel like they feel like they have to protect mom, I think.
The kid does.
Yeah, the kid does. To take care of mom's feelings. And that word, parentifying,
That's right.
It's parentifying, but it's like, this could be like unintentionally parentifying. Like, I have to take care of mom's feelings. I have to make sure that, I'm not okay at dad's house because mom's not going to be okay by herself. I had plenty of kids that were just like, I saw mom on a video call and she looked sad, when they were at dad's house.
And I'm going to throw this in there. Parents, you got to remember that it's not uncommon for littles to miss the parent they're not with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they're at dad's, they miss mom. And when they're with mom, they're missing dad.
And that's okay.
And that's normal. We want, that means they love both parents.
That's a good thing.
A shocker. We want that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Continue, Jinohn. That was good.
Yeah. So, and also I think, I have seen that sometimes when there is high anxiety, and I'll say on mom's part, and then the kiddos will go to dads and they'll have a good time and they'll do some really cool stuff with dad, and then they'll come back and they'll show it to mom, and mom will make mention of, oh, that shouldn't have happened, or oh, that's not what or oh, that's dangerous, or something like that. And so then what happens is, mom has anxiety of, oh my gosh, what is dad doing with you guys, and making these little comments, right? And so then now the kid's like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that with dad, or oh dad, that's not right. We can't do that. That's bad, and we shouldn't have never done that, and I don't ever want to do it again. But the thing is what that does is that they have to kind of, I don't know, that's like pressure. I can't have fun with my dad because something's going to be wrong at my mom's. When I come back and talk to her.
Or the anxiety then makes them question everything, like, oh, I'm only supposed to eat. I can't have a soda. And dad lets me have a soda. It's a little bit more relaxed. And it's like, oh, you're so unhealthy over there.
Yeah.
And so we have to counteract that. Yep. And with teens, what I see kind of similar is that they push back against that. Like, well, why are you doing that? And so then they distance themselves from both parents sometimes. Or feel like they have to gatekeep and just say certain things to one parent. I remember she was probably 14. Yeah, because we'd been working for years. And her parents, they struggled. And I remember we wrote on the whiteboard just all the different things of, when I bring up when I bring up dad in front of mom, these are the facial features she makes that lets me know that it's not okay to bring dad up. Because we had been doing this for so long. And I remember asking her, well, do you feel like you could even, if you had a good time at dad's house, could you mention it to mom? Or if you were scared at dad's house, could you mention it to mom? And she said, no.
Wow.
And so that was, talking about behaviors, that was manifesting in self-harm. And she had a lot of other stuff going on. But because she was so anxious.
Hurting self, distracted.
Yeah, it causes pressure, there's a pressure of me to not enjoy my time with one of my parents because of the other parent.
Because if I do that, I'm betraying the other parent. And so rather than that, I'm going to internalize all that.
So how much does that come up? You guys mentioned betrayal. How much does a child feel the fear of betraying one parent or another? Do you think that comes up almost in every case? Is it rare? How often is this coming up? The kids feeling this level of betrayal.
In high conflict, it's going to come up a lot.
Yes.
I agree.
Because they know that their parents are on two separate sides of, the coin and all that stuff.
I mean, if they're in litigation, they're literally opposite sides.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had kids say, well, if mom wins, this is what's going to happen if dad wins. They're already in their mind. It's a win-lose situation, right? But it's to that degree. So there are lines drawn. I'll ask kids all the time. I was like, oh, are there sides? Yes. Whose side are you on?
Would you even say that for a child that's experiencing their parents going through high conflict divorce that takes forever to get done, is that trauma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just that in itself is traumatic. The divorce was one level, but now you have the other layer of the inability to solve problems the high conflict, the back and forth, the win and lose. And we're not thinking that's not trauma, you know? I mean, it's just these poor kids, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just go through so much. What else do we need to know about the moms? Because I know we're on moms right now.
Yeah. Well, look,
I think, sorry.
No, go ahead. Because I just said, and that obviously means I have nothing to say.
No, I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh. If we hear ums, no. Means I'm thinking. Give me a second.
I know, I'm sorry. I was just thinking.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking that, like, when there is high anxiety or high fear, there's high control. And so there's that exertion of control. And so, again, because I spend a lot of time with teenagers, they resent that.
Yeah.
They resent that control. And I think where littles may feel like, okay, mom's protecting me, mom's the safe one, I've seen the exact opposite when the kids get older and they rebel. And then you start hearing, I don't want to live with mom anymore. I'm going to go with dad. Or I've spent all this time with mom and she does all this.
And then the parent feels betrayed by the child.
Yes. And so then they go over to dad's house.
Yes. Yep.
And
yeah. Because the mom's like, I've done all this stuff to protect you, right? Because that's what moms believe is protection. I'm doing this to protect you. And now you just want to leave me and go to your dad's house.
And
what in the world?
I'll say it this way to help the moms, even the dads too. Be careful with protection because sometimes it comes off as prevention. And you need to know the difference between prevention and protection when you're helping your kids through this stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're coming at it from a protective state, which I'm not disagreeing, probably are. But your work and the way that you're approaching it is preventive, not protective.
Yeah.
And knowing the difference is extremely important, I think.
And the thing that is preventing is the kid being a kid. It's not necessarily preventing them from being unsafe or whatever. It's preventing them from being a kid because that's what they want to do is be a kid and love both parents. That's what you're preventing them from being able to.
Toys R Us said that a long time ago. Where a kid can...
They still exist?
They're in Macy's. Shout out to Macy's.
And Toys R Us. I mean, but what does it mean where a kid can be a kid? What are we saying in that statement? Like, what does that mean? Where a kid can be a kid?
I thought that was Showbiz Pizza.
No, it was
Toys R Us. Where a kid can't be.
I don't know what they did in Nebraska, but here in Texas
all right.
was.
Oh, look out! Here we go.
Comment and tell me if it's Showbiz Pizza or if it's Toys R Us.
Someone help us out. No, but really, what does it mean when we say where a kid can be a kid?
I think it's just allowing the children to kind of be them, right? Like giving them, like you have parameters to protect them. But
boundaries, right?
Yeah, boundaries, healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
You let them kind of play and kind of figure stuff out. Like you can't hover and be around them whenever that one kid says something to them. I mean, you can, but you won't fight the 5-year-old. I mean, you probably shouldn't, but...
I would. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't think not.
Yes. Well, let me say it this way. Then let me say it like this. Then where a kid can be a kid. When I think of a kid being a kid, it means you can allow your kid to have hard emotions. They can experience sadness. They can experience anger, frustration. Helping them understand what they're feeling is helpful too. You know, not having it mislabeled or having a new word for it. But I think a kid is going to go through a bunch of different things, just like you're going through a bunch of different things in the divorce. In allowing the kid to process through that, and one of the things I just talked to Dr. Charway about was developing that resiliency, right? That's where the kids are actually going to get the most out of the process is developing the resiliency, not preventing them from getting it. I'll give you an example. I can't ride my kid's bike for them, but I can put on a set of training wheels. I can stand by them. You know, I can hold the seat as they're riding. But at some point, I got to let it go so they can get the full experience of riding their bike, right? Because then they get to go, oh, look at this. One of the greatest feelings I think human beings experience is the feeling of doing something for yourself and being completely autonomous.
Oh, absolutely.
Having the autonomy to have my own experience, to fail and to succeed is probably the best growth you can give someone. My grandpa was one of the things I loved about the way he raised me is I would tell him what I want to do. In his mind, he thought, boy, that's stupid. You know, I know he thought that. Now, he didn't say I was stupid. He never called me stupid. He would say, you really think that's going to work? You know, he'd challenge me a little bit. And I'd push back. Yeah, whatever. And he'd say, go for it. Because he knew it wasn't going to kill me. But when he'd say, go for it, and I did, and then I failed, he would come back and just go, what'd you learn? And that taught me more than preventing me from the experience. You know what I mean? But he was still protecting me. Like if I would have said, I want to stick this fork in the outlet, yeah, he won't let me have that choice at that point. There's a cutoff.
There's no go for it in that one.
That's right. So I think with moms, I would agree, Jinohn. I think moms have a very protective instinct with their children.
We do.
You want to get into that a little bit more with the moms and kind of...
Mom still? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, just a little bit more. I think talking about, hey, moms, we get it. A lot of you go through your own trauma in your divorce. You become a protective parent, right? We get all that. But this is where you have to... Where do you know the difference between you're protecting, you're preventing, kids are now being parentified, the fears of betrayal, all those things that end up happening? What would moms, just something to keep in mind about what kids are really going through when the mom is in a protective state?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that it probably will create potentially some fear, like fear and anxiety and all that stuff,
right,
in the kiddo.
Right.
Moms, if you want to kind of know, if you want to kind of feel some validation, but then also kind of know what to do, you know, just kind of look at or listen to one of our previous podcast that Michael and I did. But this is more so like for kids. It's just like, just kind of understanding, like knowing the difference if you're protecting them and you're actually really protecting them of like some safety stuff, then yes, that's okay. But if it's just, I don't like the way that the other parent is doing it, you know, that is where you're kind of towing this line of, am I going to start creating some anxiety in this other kiddo where they're not going to be able to have fun and not going to be able to just enjoy themselves when they're not with you. So,
and I think for parents too, I would tell them, be willing to be called out. You know, let it perfect. I'm not opposed to someone calling me out as a professional. So if I call you out and say, hey, this really feels like prevention. This doesn't seem like protection. Talk through that with me. You know what I mean? Like you have to, I think as a parent, you have to have that ability to do that. And even letting the other parent kind of call you out too, which is really hard for them.
That's a big ask.
Well, no, it is a big ask, but think about this. Like, what if both parents did that?
That would be great.
Parenting work, both parents allowed the other parent to call them out.
So that requires collaborative conversation to have that.
Ooh. And trust. Right?
Which
like I have to trust that this other person is not attacking me, but they are trying to help our kid.
And I think that, honestly, that segues into dads, because that's exactly how dads feel, is like they feel like they're on the defensive end of that. Like everybody's against them. They need to defend themselves to that exact point.
And I want to get into dads. I just want to say this real quick, Jinohn, because I love this note you have in here. How kids interpret control is not as love, but as pressure. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
That kids are interpreting control by a mother, not as love, but as pressure. So what they need to remember, and the key takeaway to this is, kids aren't just seeing mom's fear, they're carrying it.
They're carrying it to dad's house.
Mm-hmm.
And then dad's then interpreting that, right?
Yep.
And they might throw out the alienation.
You're instilling that fear into my child. They don't feel safe with me.
So now I got to protect them.
So now I got to protect them, or I got to defend myself, or...
Yep, that's how it plays out. So now let's get into the daddies. Now that we're there, let's go.
That was like weird.
Okay, which part? Well, so when dad's pain turns mom into the villain, I think is how we labeled this piece. But let's talk about how dads do that.
Well, because they're on the defensive, right? Or they feel like they're on the defensive.
Right.
Do you think that that's most dads in divorce? They're always playing defense. They feel like mom's always playing offense.
And I think the reason why, this is my opinion, is because dads have this idea that the courts are just mom forward, and the courts love moms, and it's
pro-mom.
Pro-mom.
Yeah.
Courts are pro-mom, so then therefore I really have to fight for my rights. And who knows? I mean, I've talked to judges and they're just like, they think I'm pro-mom, and then somebody thinks I'm pro-dad, and it's just like, all right, yeah. Because...
And then the judge probably goes, then I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Dad's hate me and mom's hate me. I'm somewhere in the middle.
And I've seen it in the middle. Like, I have cases where, the dads have primary, the moms have primary.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen all of it. And so I think...
I've seen moms without access. I've seen dads without access.
Sure. Yeah. And I think probably historically, long time ago, probably there was a presumption that mom would get the kids. And I think some of that lingers, like culturally, kind of. And so I think that is it, why they feel like they have to be on the defensive.
Yeah.
But I tell all parents this: you come off defensive, you just come across angry and defensive, and like, I don't know that I want to talk to you, right? Let alone your ex or your kids.
Yeah, and that's where like the fear of kids, like kids will have fear that like, I can't say this to dad because he's gonna get mad, or or he's gonna shut me down, or whatever it is, because dad's on the defensive all the time when we're in active litigation.
And so if a kid, and I see the note here, Jinohn. It says kids are internalizing dad's complaints as frustrations. Right? They internalize. Kids are internalizing dad's frustrations and complaints. So how does that manifest itself in children?
I think you see that as kind of the behaviors, right? So that's why when mom will say like, "Oh, you don't have those behaviors in my house. I only see those behaviors at dad's house," or dad's like, "Yeah, well, I nip it in the bud and I give him a swat and he's gonna like calm down," which then he does. Yeah. Or she does. I mean, not, well,
he or she, one of them.
Boys, but and then what is that interpreted by mom, right? You're being abusive, you're aggressive, like, I don't know what's going on in your home. And what does that do to dad? More defensive.
It's funny. I've just thought of
like it's circular interaction.
Circular interaction. I just thought about this. So in sports, right, you'll have like, so they say defense wins championships. You'll hear this term.
Oh, I have heard that.
You've heard that before.
And I've said it too.
Yeah. But think about it this way. A good coach, if they have good defense, they turn their defense into offense. So defense is a type of offense. So these parents, like these dads that constantly feel they're playing defense, they're actually playing a level of offense. Because how do they play defense, Armando? I see some notes here too. They'll say things directly or indirectly to their kids, won't they? Like, your mom's just taking me for child support, right? They'll say these things as a way to defend themselves, but doesn't that to the child interpret as offense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
yeah. It's an attacking.
Yeah, you're attacking my mom.
Attacking my mom.
Yeah.
You're defending yourself, right? But by attacking my mom. Kid doesn't understand the difference.
Yeah.
Right.
And they just hear you hate mom.
And then what ends up happening is they go back and vocalize that to mom. Well, dad says that you...
Yeah. Or you push him into mom. You actually push him into mom.
It's not fair that you're taking all his money.
Yeah. And then what does the mom do? She gets defensive and it becomes this whole cycle thing all over again.
Yeah. And so what does that do to the children? Where are the kids in that?
In the middle.
They're in the middle. Right? They feel like they have to choose sides.
Or they have to figure out what's true.
Or not say anything. Right?
Yeah. And I like this notation that Jinohn highlighted where the kids feel like they're having to take the responsibility for the happiness or the anger that one of their parents may feel. Sometimes with the dad or sometimes with the mom. And so sometimes we talk about roles kids play. They try to get away from having to feel that way.
No, they get out of there. They get out of that system.
And the avoidance looks like picking a side, right? Or it manifests itself in so many different ways. So what is the kid really trying to do? When you think about all these things we just mentioned that parents are doing, put these kids in these situations, what are the kids actually trying to do?
They're trying to make their system function.
Yeah, they're trying to fix it.
I mean, like we're sitting here and we're talking about it being cyclical, right? Like,
that's right.
Like this happens. The kid is literally in the middle of that cycle of that wheel. So they're having to figure out, okay, how do I make this wheel work for me?
Right.
Whatever that looks like. Maybe I want peace. Maybe I'm going to manipulate the system to get what I want. Maybe it's going to...
Because I'm going to make the wheel turn. The wheel ain't turning in my favor. I'll turn it in my favor.
And so, we... A lot of times, too, I think parentification is done by both parents because they're not acting like adults, so then the kid has to. And here we are. And then you're pointing fingers.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do in session whenever both parents, and I'm like, well, why are you both mad at this kid? You created the environment for them to do that.
You said that?
I say that all the time.
Oh, my God, I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, no, I usually say, I'm like, well, you get mad at the soap scum, you don't clean the bathroom. That's on you. That's not the soap scum. It's going to take advantage.
I think we should do a podcast on the things we say all the time to people.
Oh, no, those are key stuff because I got to keep them coming into the office.
That ain't free.
Come on.
That's right.
Maybe we get some sponsors on the podcast and you'd be like, okay, we'll
do that. We'll put that on merch.
You can sponsor this first. You can sponsor this first.
Good saying. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
A couple things I could give some class.
Here, wear this.
Wear this, remember that.
Here's the hat.
As a reminder, remember that.
That
is awesome. So what are some other things that you'd like these parents to know about what their kids are actually experiencing in the divorce and what it's like for them, from moms and dads? Maybe from both. Maybe talking about them as co-parents now.
I think that especially if there are sides, kids will interpret that as a competition. And so somebody has to win.
Yeah. There's a winner and a loser.
There's a winner.
You think kids are interpreting that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and sometimes, like you said, kind of kids will either avoid or do something to kind of get themselves out of it or, turn into their favor, whatever it is. And a lot of times it's like, I'm going to go to the path of least resistance, And so if there's a lot of resistance on one side or a lot of conflict or whatever it is on one side, then they're probably going to be like, well, I'm just going to stick with this one, so then I can maybe like smooth over some of the conflict between my parents or not have to feel it or not have to deal with it or whatever that is. So
how do these, I'm going to use this section here about the different dynamics that feel the way they feel for kids. How do those things sometimes play out in children, those dynamics with high conflict?
Like, what are the behaviors you see?
Yeah, like what might you see in your kid? How might they be responding to that stuff?
And super high anxiety, physical responses like stomach aches, crying, avoidance.
And so the younger kid's probably going to do what, Jinohn, when they're having high anxiety or...
Oh, they're gonna act out. I have a number of kids actually right now that are just. It's almost like the parents are like a switch has flipped and this kid is just whacking out, and they're wondering why. But I'm just like, well, it's because there's a lot of conflict between you two. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'll ask the kiddo. I'm just like, do they see it? But they feel it. They feel that tension. They feel the weirdness. I've had kids even say, I see my mom's face when my dad walks in, and it makes me uncomfortable.
I think I'm going to say it this way.
So yeah,
since I have you both here, I'm going to say it this way. It seems to me that the younger kids play out the system that you've created for them. So the way the kid is acting is really the kid is acting out the system in which they live in, right? So if they're acting out and chaotic, it's because your relationship is that way.
Well, because they're role modeling.
Like they're role modeling, right? The younger the kid, that's what I think they do. So as they get older, as teenagers, they play the system.
They can play the system or they avoid the system.
Well, they play the system in their favor. So they'll gatekeep, they'll distract, they'll avoid distraction, avoid more for the older. Now I'm starting to see a pattern where the older kids go, okay, when I was younger, I was acting out the system. Now that I'm older, not that they actually think this, but now that they're older, they understand the system. It can't be changed. It's not changing. It's not tipped in their favor. And so they either avoid, distract, or gatekeep more frequently so that they can tip the system in their favor to help themselves.
I think I'm going to say this. Talking to teenagers and as kids get older, they're a lot smarter than people give them credit for.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You said, I don't know that some of them really do think. Like, I had one, I'll never forget. She was like, yeah, I got in a fight with mom, so I called dad, and dad was going to come pick me up. And I was like, well, it's a little, she's like, yeah, that was manipulative. And I was like, oh, you know that word?
She said it.
And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And she was like 13. And I go, well, and she goes, did it work? I was like, did it work? She goes, oh, yeah, it works all the time. I was like,
it works all the time.
I don't love the fact that you know what that is and that it works. But kudos to you for recognizing your system because the parents created that, right? And so what did I want to do? I wanted to bring the parents in and be like, look, this is what you did. And they refused. They did not.
Yeah.
They said no.
That's fine.
They said no. And
they didn't want to come in?
They didn't. The parents did not want to sit in a parent session together. And so
so
I was like, well, I don't blame this little girl because
can't blame her.
Here she is. And I remember her telling me very distinctly, like, well, do you blame me?
So I have a question for parents. Is your pain of your divorce experience more important to you than what your kid needs? That's what I would say. You don't want to come in the room. I'm not saying I understand the history. It's probably bad. I'm sure it is, because if it wasn't bad, you'd probably still be married. So it's bad. I knew that when you came in here. But is the pain you're going through so intense that it's preventing you from doing what your kid needs, which is to figure out how to work together? Is it that bad? Because if it's that bad, and I'm going to say it, it's going to sound harsh, but I'm going to say it. If it's really that bad for you, why don't you give the kid to the other parent, go work on yourself. And then when you're in a healthy state, then go back, because then you're your best version of yourself for your kid anyway. Your kid doesn't deserve the worst version of you. They deserve the best version of you. And this is where I get frustrated, because I've had many cases where I'll have a parent who will say, I was traumatized in my marriage, and they'll tell me how horrible the marriage was. And the kids were in that. I get it. The kids maybe seen stuff, they saw whatever. But then the other parent has done the work or is doing the work. But the parent is wanting to protect the kids from that parent because of their own experience, which looks like prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the arguments I've always made is, well, since this trauma you experience is so bad, and it's so bad that you can't even get in the room with this other parent, why don't we do this for the kids? Because they deserve you both. And the court's already moving in that direction. That's why courts order reunification. Why don't you just let them stay with the other parent, right? So they can manage that relationship. So working on it anyway, while you go work on yourself. And when you're in a better place, then we'll reintegrate the kids with you. You think any parent goes for that?
No.
Not a single one of them will go for it.
Well, but I think to your point, that's the thing that the kids get to see. They get to see the change in the other parent because they're moving back and forth.
Right.
I've asked kids that. I'm like, well, does your mom see the change in your dad? No. Do you? Yes, because I see this.
Because they're the one
that's going. Yeah.
They're going back and forth.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the parent is stuck
Exactly.
where they were, in the marriage or whatever it is, and the kid is able to kind of go forward.
I think
and see the change. Yeah.
I think we just said it right there. Your kid is the constant maneuverable piece. They're the one going back and forth through the process, but you're the one stuck in the old because everything's still the same for you because you're not doing the work to heal. You're not doing any healing work with
and you're
kids.
interacting with that person to see any changes or opportunity.
Right.
Well, if you're divorced, you're trying to stay away from them. You're probably trying not to interact with them.
That is not true. I have seen some co-parents that actually
I've seen it too,
but they don't stay in our office very long because they're
Hey,
I'll do the work.
I had a case. I'm going to say this to help these parents. I had a case where mom and dad came in. They were just starting the divorce process. Everyone was going through grief, but they're all in different stages of the grief cycle. They all come sit in, and all we're talking about is how do we do this in the best way for our children? That was the conversation of the sessions. And all the sessions were family-oriented. They had everybody in the room, start to finish, and then one day I broke it up. I just had mom and kids, then I had dad and kids. And I was so proud of them. I remember telling them, the fact that you did it this way, right? What a gift you gave your kids. You want to know how many sessions it took me to do that?
3 max.
It was like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And I was just so proud of them for what they did for their children. What a gift. I can't imagine what that wedding will look like when those kids get married or graduate.
Yeah.
Mom and dad going to be there. And some of these parents that we've worked with, one of those parents probably won't be there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad. If not both, they may just say, I'm done with both of you. I've had kids tell me that. Yeah, when I turn 18, my plan is X. And both parents don't even know that that's going to happen. So I do.
Yeah.
And it's rough. That is rough.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get through this, kind of finish this up. What do kids really want most between their parents?
To love both their parents.
Love both their parents, not have to choose, just be themselves.
Like, it's almost like they need the permission to love the other parent.
Tell the parent, tell our listeners what you mean by that.
Well, if there's sides, is it okay for me to go to the other side?
I need you to say it's okay.
I need you to tell me it's okay because I don't know. This is different.
Because if I go, is it going to hurt you?
Or am I going to get in trouble? Is it going to be bad? Is it going to be, am I going to upset you, right? Because I have to go back to you, right? And vice versa.
Yeah, and I think little kids just naturally focus on you more than themselves. And then when they get older, teenagers, 14, 15, somewhere in there, they start thinking about themselves.
But that's the thing, the kids, we look to our parents to show us, well, how are we supposed to behave? How are we supposed to act?
Exactly.
So if you're acting that way, that's how we're supposed to act. That's how we're supposed to treat this person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're afraid of dad and rejecting him, then I should be too.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're rejecting mom or afraid of mom, then I should be that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So kids ultimately just need to be able to love their parents both freely.
Yeah.
So what would you say, Jinohn, is the key takeaway in that section?
That they need to be safe, and safe as in, it's okay to feel the way that you feel, kiddo, and towards the other parent. And I'm okay with it,
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's it. Like, I'm okay with the way that you feel towards the other parent. It's okay.
Exactly.
My thing is not more important than the love that you have for your other parent,
So I'm gonna say we should take one each. But on this closing piece, I want to hit this home for our listeners. We're going to speak as your children to you, parents. So we're going to say a statement. So these and there's 4 statements here. We're going to say them as if we're your kid. So just pretend you're listening to your child say this to you. Jinohn, take the first.
Oh, yes. Please don't ask me to carry what you're afraid of.
Please don't make me choose.
Please show me I'm allowed to love both of you.
Get some help. I'm kidding.
Yeah, get some help, parents.
I was going to say, as a teen, some of my teenage clients say a little bit different things.
Yeah.
Like, look,
Yeah.
Well,
Let's
get it together.
Let's add a piece. Mom, be the best version of you. Get the help you need. Mom, Dad, get the help you need to be the best version of you so that I can just be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I can Toys R Us this thing or Showbiz.
Showbiz Pizza. I'm still on that. I don't know.
Well,
I just feel it.
So
I'm going to review this later.
This is awesome. Okay, so what I think, I like this note here, what we would encourage you parents to do is go back and reflect on what we're talking about. If you have to go back and re-listen, which I've done before, I'm going to be honest with you, I've talked to you guys before and I've had to go back and re-listen just because the points you made were so awesome. I would encourage you to do the same. And I kind of like the round table. We
did it well.
Well, I just like the back and forth. I enjoyed that. So thank you so much, listeners, for being here. We really do care so much about trying to help you and get you the information. And I remember a long time ago when we talked about this, we were like, how do we help the people that may never meet us? And this is the only way I know how to do that is you build a podcast, you give people a place to listen to it and learn the information. And you guys heard that we're in a lot of places that I never thought we'd be. We're in other countries. So I just want to thank y'all so much for being here. Everyone, keep moving forward. And until next time.